What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode of Sports Talk with Hawk. Today, we try to answer a decades-old question. Is there any hope for Rich Eisen or Mike Greenberg's New York Jets? Let's take a look. Why not? On Sports Talk with Hawk. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome in on a beautiful midweek podcast. Today we are going to look at the New York Jets. Changes have once again happened on the team in green. Infamy has basically been a consistent theme since Rex Ryan was fired as the head coach of the New York Jets. This is a team that, in my opinion, should have been to a Super Bowl and potentially won. Looking at that team, outside of Mark Sanchez, you're talking about a team that was big, strong, physical, and could just flat out dominate you. That was a very well-built team, and really, that's what I was hoping was going to happen. If you guys had been listening for a while, my thought was bring Rex Ryan back. Get an identity for this football team back. Aaron Glenn, the new head coach, I like Glenn. Another former player going back to a team that he played for. I love that aspect. But we do have to be honest about the coordinators that end up getting hired as head coaches. Out of, let's say, 5, 3 of 5 will hit to where they can coach. They may not last forever, but you know they can coach. One, you may be on the fence because the team never looks right, like the Giants with Brian Daboll. And then another, you're going to be like, no, not a chance. Where does Aaron Glenn fall is going to be my question. I'm afraid it's going to end up being in the Brian Daboll, kind of just the New York issue. I think Robert Saleh is a very good head coach. I don't think he makes the best offensive coordinator decisions and hires. But the stats bear out he takes care of his side of the ball and really does it rather well. So you look at this screen, and if you're wondering, is there hope for the future? It's not going to be in the form of a bunch of free agents, I'll tell you that. $20 million in cap space. They've got 28 free agents, 23 of them are unrestricted. They do have 8 picks in the draft, so for a new head coach coming in, that is a good thing. It's only one extra pick, I get it. They will get a compensatory pick. I think they'll get a third-round pick at least for hiring Aaron Glenn. So they do get compensatory picks coming in. They should end up with about 10 or 11 picks if my calculations are correct on how they're going to award the compensatories. They should get a third and maybe 2 sixths if I played it out right. But when you look at that, there is not a lot that needs to be fixed. And I know it sounds weird for a team that won 5 games, but there really isn't that much. So let's look at the stats. Last year, they were 24th in total offense at 310 yards a game. They were 16th in passing in the league at 218 yards a game, and a lot of that was later in the year Aaron Rodgers started looking a little bit better after the Devontae Adams trade. But they were 31st in rushing offense with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. That can't happen. That is what needs to be fixed. Now, Aaron Glenn brings in another Detroit guy. What's this Detroit guy's identity going to be on offense? We'll have to find out. I kind of like this. The way that this is happening, I think the Lions are actually in more trouble. I really do. I don't think defensively. I think Kelvin Shepard, who is replacing Aaron Glenn as the defensive coordinator, I think he will be just fine. But position coaches are getting stolen away. Passing game coordinators are getting stolen away. Just the Lions are getting absolutely gutted by the rest of the league, taking their players. And that is one of the biggest compliments you can get in this league. Whether it works or not, we don't know. Every person's different. Some coordinators should never be coaches. And some coaches can't ever really be coordinators either. It does work both ways. Okay, so 24th in total offense, 16th in passing, 31st in rushing. They average 20 points per game. Now in the middle, well, not even the middle, the first half of the season, we'll put it that way, they fired Robert Saleh, which to me was the dumbest move there was. Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas were not the reason this team wasn't winning. Joe Douglas missed on a quarterback. He nailed Garrett Wilson. He nailed Sauce Gardner. He nailed Breece Hall. And from the looks of it, had nailed Braylon Allen. He wasn't the reason you weren't winning. You didn't have a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers gets injured. I'll give you a pass that year. You kind of played around with a bunch of stuff. Okay. He was healthy this year. It didn't work. It's the same thing as the Falcons. Falcons missed the playoffs. They were relying on Kirk Cousins to just be what they needed him to be. Get the ball to the players, let the playmakers make the plays. Didn't happen. They missed the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, get the ball to the players we need to get you the ball to them so they can make plays. Didn't happen. So how do you fix it? Well, defensively, if Aaron Glenn keeps doing this and the offense just slightly improves, they'll win a lot of games. And here's why. They were third in total defense. They allowed 314 yards a game. That's total defense. They were fourth against the pass at 193 yards a game and 17th against the run at 121 yards a game. They were, until Robert Saleh got fired, top 10 in all. Jeff Ulbrich couldn't handle the coaching plus the coordinating plus everything else. It was a lot to be thrown at him, just like Thomas Brown for the Bears. I don't blame him. It's a lot to get thrown at in the middle of a season. It's not his fault. I think he's going to be a fine defensive coordinator now at his new position. Robert Saleh is now the defensive coordinator again in San Francisco. Love it. Aaron Glenn has a division now with Sean McDermott, Mike Vrabel, Mike McDaniel, and himself. He is easily the third best coach in that division right now, just coming in. Mike McDaniel has proven he is too soft. He's freezing in cold weather. He doesn't inspire. The team, the players have turned on him, and now they're walking stuff back because they say, well, hey, I'm in Miami. Pros and cons, right? Everybody's got to weigh them. For the Jets, your con was you fired Robert Saleh too early to see if everything could play out, because the defense got progressively worse after Saleh got fired. The players loved Robert Saleh. Aaron Glenn is going to be loved by the players as well. They'll bounce back. I think they'll easily be top 15 against the run again, and top 5 against the pass, and top 5 in total defense. This team has players, and they can add more in the draft easily. Their turnover differential, not horrible, -2. They had 7 interceptions and 10 fumble recoveries. So they averaged 1 a game. But they gave away 11 interceptions and 8 fumbles. So a -2 turnover differential. So we look, $20 million in cap space, 28 free agent. Who are the free agents? Well, I'm going to say it's going to be interesting how they play this out. And here's why. Hassan Reddick is not coming back. He's going to be probably one of the most sought-after defensive ends by most other teams, looking to add a second edge rusher because he's not going to be able to demand he was getting paid $15 million a year. He's not going to be able to demand that contract now. He hasn't played. And teams have finally figured out you don't pay for players that don't play. DJ Reed, their corner, is a free agent. Tyler Conklin, Tyson Smith, the left tackle. Morgan Moses, the right tackle. Javon Kinlaw, to me, is a guy they need to re-sign. And I do believe Aaron Glenn will say, I need Kinlaw. He matches McNeil's energy from Detroit that Aaron Glenn had. Solomon Thomas, the defensive end. Ashton Davis, a couple more guards. Isaiah Oliver, the corner. So and then you get all of your role players. Hassan Reddick's not coming back. We know that. So you got to make a decision on DJ Reed, Tyler Conklin, Morgan Moses, and Tyron Smith. Both of them are old. You need to get younger. So here's my idea. The out-of-the-box idea that I believe you could easily go after here. I think you can still get a pretty good haul for the number 7 pick. Like I said in one of the previous episodes, this is where the rich can get richer, but the bad can improve enough. So I'm going to say for the Jets, make a trade that gets you multiple pieces and sets you up for what you can do more or less in the future. Aaron Rodgers is not coming back, that is for sure. So I don't know what their plan's going to be at quarterback. I really don't. And I thought about doing something wild. I really did. I thought about doing something wild. Like the out-of-the-box idea being making a trade. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. The out-of-the-box idea was making a trade to go get Dak Prescott. I don't think you have the cap for it because Aaron Rodgers' dead cap hit's going to be too high. I don't think the cap is there for it. But that does seem to be the dramatic thing that needs to happen for a couple of these teams. Unless you're just going to wait for 2026, which I have suggested for a couple teams on here. I suggested it for the Browns. Remember that. I suggested it for Cleveland. Wait till next year. I floated around that idea with the Giants. But I don't want Dable to get fired just because he doesn't have a quarterback that can throw the ball. So the out-of-the-box idea I'm actually going to go with is going to be a little bit different. There is a team in Detroit that I don't know what their plans are going to be. They're going to be... The cap space situation is okay in Detroit. I think they really do want to see if they can move on and get Myles Garrett. I do think that that's what they want to do. And I believe you could make a trade early with the Lions to give the Lions draft pick compensation that you could tempt the Browns with. But I think you need offensive linemen more. I really think you need offensive linemen more. So here's my idea. You go after a team, either the Indianapolis Colts, and make a trade for Braden Smith and one of their rookies from last year, Tucker or get Gonzalez and get an offensive line set up to be able to play in New York. Now, as a Colts fan, I don't like this idea. But as a Jets moving forward, the Indianapolis Colts are a team that does have some linemen they can play around with. And especially if they re-sign Ryan Kelly. So I would say go after a team that's got linemen that you may be able to just kind of snatch away to be able to move forward. You're not getting any of the Tennessee Titans. You're not getting Peter Skoronski or J.C. Latham. You're not getting Rashawn Slater or Joe Alt from the Chargers. You're going to have to go older, which I liked the trade with the Ravens for Morgan Moses. I did. I loved that trade. I really did. I thought it was a very solid trade. Now, we've got free agency here. Cody Whitehair may be available. You can put him at center. You could put Brandon Sharif at guard next to him. And you could put Braden Smith out at right tackle. And there you have a veteran offensive line. It may not be the most skilled, but it's veteran. It's going to be aware. The protections aren't going to be as awful as they were. You do have a solid, Fashanu is going to be fine. You've got your left tackle. So I think just fixing the rest of the line takes care of everything else that you need. I'm making the trade with the Colts, getting 2 of their offensive linemen to be able to strengthen my offensive line. It's a weaker offensive line draft. Strengthen my offensive line so I can move forward. If I do end up with 10 picks in the draft, I can trade 2 of them to get 2 players. They need secondary help. Throw them a corner. Lord knows Chris Ballard will probably jump on it. So that's my idea for what the Jets can do. The number 7 pick, I don't think you necessarily want to trade away because I think their defense, they do need another guy. They need what Hassan Reddick was going to be. I can see Abdul Carter working really well here. Aaron Glenn, I believe, is going to move this to a 43 defense, a pure 43 defense. Robert Saleh kind of likes running a hybrid. Aaron Glenn will run a pure 43 defense. And with that pure defense, Abdul Carter, I believe, works. I believe there's a couple different players they can get later in the draft. Kamara from the Indiana Hoosiers, I believe, fits what Aaron Glenn does as far as defensive tackle, stunts, and how he wants to play. This team has guys. That's not an issue. My early prediction is going to depend on the quarterback. Right now, I don't see one. There's Aaron Rodgers, and that's it. If you ran Tyrod Taylor, I'll say this. If Aaron Glenn wants to run Tyrod Taylor with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, I actually support it because you've got a veteran. His arm's not washed. He's got legs to be able to run. And if you're going to really focus on the running game, it's going to take pressure off, and Tyrod Taylor can launch the ball. I don't have a problem with running Tyrod Taylor as a starting quarterback. I don't. I think you can go 8-9 with Tyrod Taylor. So that's going to be my way too early prediction. I think they can go 8-9, maybe even 9-8 if they start Tyrod Taylor. I would start Tyrod Taylor. It's a bad draft year. You're not going to get a true legendary franchise quarterback right now. Tyrod Taylor is a starter in the NFL. He can be a starter. He's been one of the most consistent starters. The guy can win you 9 games. Aaron Rodgers didn't. You haven't been winning 9 games for quite a while. So if Tyrod Taylor can get you to win 9 games and have the last game of the year mean whether you get in or get out of the playoffs, and knowing your luck, you'll play the Bills and get knocked out, you were there. You were sniffing the playoffs. You haven't sniffed the playoffs in quite a while. You were sniffing the playoffs. And I think that's got to be something that you're okay with. I really do. They go defense in the draft. They'll have 10 draft picks at least. After compensatory picks, probably 11. Make a trade for offensive linemen. Get 2 offensive linemen. Sign a couple in free agency. Get that offensive line dialed in. And once you do that, run the ball with Breece Hall. Run the ball with Braylon Allen. They've already got 2 backs. Their backs are set up like the Lions. Breece Hall's good. Braylon Allen's good. You got 2 receivers. Wilson, stud. Adams, veteran. Can still make plays. Find the holes in the defense. This team is set up to still be able to win. This team has hope. You just got to get an offensive line. All right, that'll do it for a Wednesday podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out, guys. Absolutely love it. The season is officially over with the Super Bowl, and now we are looking ahead. We are 1 month away from league year opening. 1 month away. And this is, well, we're moving right along with the snapshots. I think we'll get them all done before the new league year kicks in. We should be good. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for hanging out and watching. Please make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the podcast. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your Wednesday. And until tomorrow, and tomorrow we're going to cover another team that's got a lot of drama and has a lot of interesting history and a lot of questions. The Dallas Cowboys. Yes, that's tomorrow. Until next time, guys, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out. Have an absolutely great day.